Okay, now, last video, again, I talked about the city, I talked about the collectibles and all that. Now I want to talk about the combat. The combat in this game is fantastic. Okay, it's similar to the Arkham games in terms of Batman in the way the mechanics work, but in this game Superman feels a lot faster. His hits don't feel as hard as Batman, but his movement is a lot faster. He feels furry, slippery, so we say, like he'll jump, flip, slide between enemy legs. He's very Spider-Man in that he keeps dodging and giving quick strikes, and it really gives you the feeling of Spider-Man. But the thing is that he isn't like super. He's not the Hulk who can just take unlimited damage. You get hit 2 or 3 times this game, you're done. You are gone. And the first I kind of caught me up, I was like, wait, what? So it really trains you. You gotta be really careful. And of course, the indication for when someone's about to hit is similar to Batman, but it makes more sense here because it's his Spidey sense. So you get this kind of this flash, this weird flashing icon above your head. That when they're about to strike, so you press I believe it's the triangle button or circle or I can't remember. It's circle or square, and he'll block it or he'll dodge it. No, it's dodge. He doesn't really block too much. He dodges it, and the combat is so good in this game because there's about a variety of different enemies. Like you'll have ones with bare hands, you'll have one with melee weapons, whips. Some will have shields filled with energy that they can shoot at you. It makes sense when you play the game. Trust me. And then there'll be bigger enemies who require more hits and can't be stunned as easy as the smaller ones, and it's just really fun. And at first it takes like a couple of minutes to get used to. Once you get the hang of it, it's really fun. And once you and there's a skill tree in the game for all these different skills you can unlock, all these combat options such as disarming enemies by taking their guns off them with their web. If an enemy shoots a rocket at you, hold an L1 or R1 to catch the rocket with your web, do a full swing and throw it back at them. And speaking of that mechanic, there's a bunch. It's not just punching and people and dodging and all that. There's a bunch of different things in the combat scenario that also give you more options, such as if you're near a wall, you can press, I believe it's the dodge button, and Spider-Man will jump onto the wall, and when you press the strike button, quickly after, he'll do a jump and strike off that wall, and then of course you jump in the air, you press triangle, and Spider-Man will lift the enemies off the ground with his web. There's a bunch of objects always lying around the place that you can hold L1 and R1 to catch, like the rocket, swing around and throw at people. There's a bunch of large shells that you can pull on top of people. There's always tons of options. It's not just the basic dodge, strike. There's a bunch of different elements that spice up the combat. Nothing huge, but spice it up that there's always a bunch of different options that you can use. As well as that, and of course as you keep unlocking more moves, that adds up to it. But another big part of the combat are the gadgets. Spider-Man has a bunch of gadgets he can get in this game, and they are so much fun. There's like the web bomb. It's like a sticky grenade. You throw that enemy and it explodes, and any enemies who are close to him all get covered in the web, leaving you get a lot of good free strikes at them. Then of course there's I'm not sure the name, but basically it's this gadget when you use it. It's like Spider-Man has the Force. He just pushes all these enemies far back. Then there's this gadget you throw on the floor. It sets off this large wave of energy into the air, and any enemies caught in it just get thrown into the air, and they're just hovering there and making them vulnerable for you to strike them. And then you have Spidey drones, which are these flying spider drones that just shoot the enemies while you're attacking. They're very handy, especially for crowd control, because when you use the spider drones, they can shoot and distract some of the enemies while you take on 1 or 2 at a time, because there's a lot of enemies come at you at once in this game. It isn't 1 or 2. Sometimes you'll have to be facing 10 to 15, and it's just like, what is happening? And of course, but it's not just enemies coming to hit you. Some enemies have guns, and basically how they indicate when the enemies don't shoot you, there's this big line that will flash red aiming at you. And when you press the button at the right time, you'll do a nice slow-mo dodge out of the way. And there's a skill you can unlock further on, where when you pull this off at the perfect time, you can press triangle button and you'll instantly take out the enemy by shooting a web at him. There's a lot of different features in this game that just add to the combat. And it's not the deepest combat you'll ever find in a video game, but it's really well done and more fleshed out than I thought. And the gadgets really add to it. Another gadget that I love is I think it's it's like a trip mine. Basically you put on a wall, and If an enemy crosses its path, like it emits like a small like laser, I think. And if an enemy steps into a path, it instantly just like shoots out a laser, pulls the enemy toward the wall, and he's caught. It's just really fun. It's like that brings you on to another part of the combat. Well, kind of the stealth part. Now the stealth is really fun as well because you before you initiate combat, you can like go around and like do like stealth. For example, there'll be two enemies talking to each other. You can shoot a web in one direction, one of the enemies will get distracted, he'll go check it out. And then you can go above him, you could be on like this, like in a construction yard, you could be on the large like railing above him. You press square, you catch him with a web, you'll fling him into the air, bang his head off the bar you're standing on, and just web him up. And you can, and then the other enemy, there's this ability where you press triangle, you'll jump in the air, shoot the web the enemy, and just propel yourself really fast, instantly knocking out the enemy. And then there's a bunch of other stuff you can do stealth wise. You can deploy all the different gadgets that act as traps for the enemy. You can, there's just a lot of options. So the web, and the thing is, when you're in combat, you can combine the stealth, the web swinging, the combat, the gadgets all into one to make it very fluid. For example, when you're facing the prisoners in the base, as I was talking last video, you'll be on a rooftop. So for example, you could jump in, throw gadgets around, your web bomb, like have all the enemies stuck in webs, throw your device in the ground to make them hover in the air. And when you're in the air, you could web swing and kick them as you're web swinging off the roof. Which is also interesting because when you kick enemies off the roof, you're thinking, well, they're dead now. But no, if you, again, this is another small detail they do really well in the game. You look over where the enemy fell, and you see he's actually on the side of the building webbed. You're like, how's that happen? It's a bit unrealistic, but again, we had this discussion already. But what happens, I tried to see how this works. So I knocked the enemy off, and I watched them fall. And what happens is that a random web emits from the building and pulls the enemy towards it and webs him. Now, I know it's a bit weird, it's like it's like the building just shot a web at him. But it's just a nice little detail showing that, like, again, Spiderman doesn't kill, and they just put that little thing in there to stop him from killing people. Now, it's a bit weird, but hey, it's another nice detail. And it shows and it keeps to the Spider-Man's character. Now, back to the thing, yeah, you can use all these the combat, the web swing, the stealth, and the gadgets all in these combat scenarios, and it just gets crazy. I've had some combat, these bases specifically where you do really sign, last for like a half an hour, and you're implementing all these different things. Like you could be stealthy at the start, go into a bunch of combat, utilise a lot of gadgets for doing it, and then web swing around the building to get to a better vantage point, or take out a guy with a bazooka on the other side of the building, then get back to taking on the other enemies. I wish I could go into more detail, but I'd literally be here all day talking about how good everything, all these different mechanical systems implement and work well with each other. Now, there's another thing that involves with the gameplay and the combat, and that is you'll have this meter under your health, and it's basically 3 bars. And what this does is, when a bar fills, you can do a finishing move by press triangle and circle, which would be a cool finishing move such as like Spidey kicks someone into the air, jumps up, and then just like puts legs around his head and just like flicks him hard into the ground and then webs him. There's all these different cool finishing moves Spidey does. It's a nice little cinematic end to a fight. And every time you fill up one of these mirrors, you can do a finishing move. Also, if you can unlock a skill in the skill tree that will get at one point one of these bars, you can do 2 finish moves as long as you do the next one very quickly after the first enemy is taken down. Here's the catch though. This bar doesn't only just do finishing moves, it also can regenerate your health. So for example, if you're very low on health and you're about to die in the next hit, if you have a bar, even if it isn't a full bar, even if it's half, you can press down and it'll build up some of your health. And also, as the fact that there's 3 bars, if you get all 3 bars filled, you can do a special move that is whatever suit you're wearing, because there are so many suits in this game. So many different costumes. And when I heard this, I thought they would just be cosmetic, just different look. But each costume has a different ability tied to it. But when you unlock it, you can wear any suit and put any ability together. At first I'm like, isn't that a bit pointless? Because then that means you can just wear any suit and it doesn't matter what you can just go back to your favourite suit and use any unlockable ability. But the thing is, I was saying, but to be fair, in combat you could just switch to any suit you want. You don't have to wait for combat to end to switch suits. So really, they end up just keep changing suits with the ability in the first place. So I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. In a way, that makes sense. But anyway, yeah, the abilities can be. You can deploy a decoy forcing yourself to distract the enemies. You can emit an EMP blast. You can just become invincible for a time being, and basically these abilities can be used when the meter is filled up by 3 bars. So yeah, so this meter, so you can do finishing moves. You can regenerate your health. You can do special moves. The abilities that you unlock. It's actually there's a lot of choices to this bar, and it really makes you think, because there's, like, again, it's not the deepest mechanic or the deepest combat in the game, but it does give you choices and does make you think a little and make you wonder, what do I sacrifice? Do I risk doing some finishing moves, take out these enemies quickly but possibly get hit? Or do I regenerate my health but then might get overcrowded with all these other enemies because I didn't take out these 2 enemies? Or do I try to risk, build up enough combos to get the meter full so I can use this ability that could help me greatly in the future? See, it's just so... I know I'm making it sound deeper than like it really is compared to other mechanics in other games, but it's just a nice... I wasn't expecting Spider-Man. I wasn't expecting to be thinking this much about this meter in a Spider-Man game. Like, there's like risk-reward system. And the suits, again, they're amazing. Some of my personal favourites are the 2099 Futuristic suit. There's the Homemade suit. There's all these Mark 1, 2, 3 and 4. And one of my favourites is the Vintage, which is the comic book suit, but the graphics make it look like it's out of the comic book, and it contrasts so much to the realistic location in the game, the graphics. And I love that the suit special, it's like the one you used watching Fox Kids. They're so younger, it looks like that. And its special ability is, he just makes sarcastic quips, phrases like mocking the enemy. And I was like, that is perfect for that suit. It's a useless ability in combat wise, but it's just a nice detail and it was just funny as hell. And I actually did it a lot. Some of the lines he says are hilarious. Okay, that was a lot of information in this video. I tried to do as much, put much as I possibly could into it. So yeah, that's the combat covered, the suits covered, the gadgets covered, the risk and reward system covered. I'm trying, see, I don't want the videos to go on forever, so I'm trying to put as much into these videos as possible. If I'm going too fast, sorry, but I'm just trying to make it work, man. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be doing another one soon, and I'll see you next time.